What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? BizzyDad here, you there, checking out the latest batch of spoilers from the new Lapis Cluster, and we're taking our first look at one of the new starter decks that are coming out. This is the Light Starter deck, and from what I'm reading, these cards are going to be unique. They're not going to necessarily be in the new set, Curse of the Frozen Casket, but maybe this is something they're going to be sprinkling all through the Lapis Cluster. I don't know, but it's definitely going to get people interested in buying these starter decks. There's going to be one for each color, and they've released some of the cards and artwork from the Light deck. So as you could see from this screen capture, it's from FOWTCG.com, which is where I got the screenshots from. And this is a look at the box for the Light starter deck. And I read that each of the decks is going to have a 40-card deck, a 10-card Magic Stone deck. It's going to come with dice, and it's going to come with 3 booster packs. So that's pretty interesting. I think the price was $25, but I'm not 100% sure. Seems like it's worth it, especially if the booster packs in there are 10 cards like normal. That would be pretty worth it. So we have to see on that. So let's get into it really quick, checking out the spoilers. And we're looking at the ruler, which is Millium, the Prince of the Light Palace. So he's a human, a judgment of 2 light and 1 other. Here we see the Energize again, like we saw in the last batch of spoilers, but this actually has it printed out. As the game starts, if you are not the player going first, you will get a coin with banish this coin to produce 1 light will. So there's that even up if you don't go first. And you may pay the attribute cost of fairy tale resonators with light will. So this is definitely a fairy tale built deck. And no matter what color the fairy tales are, you could pay for it with light will. So that's interesting. And the J activate over to Millium, Voice of a New Generation. So it's a 900 human. When this card enters your field, put the top card of your Magic Stone deck into your field. So that's really good, because a lot of times when you J activate and flip your ruler over, you can't call a stone that same turn, so you lose out. Here, you J activate, flip Millium over, and you get your stone. So that's really good. You still can pay the attribute cost of Fairy Tale Resonators with Light Will. And whenever this card attacks or blocks, force 1. Roll a die. So here's why dice are going to be in the starter deck. And here's our one of our new abilities, which is Force 1, which means roll 1 die. Since there are 3 dice in the box, I'm assuming if there are cards that say Force 2, you roll 2 dice, Force 3, you roll 3 dice, and so on. So here, whenever this card attacks or blocks, Force 1, roll a die, put X 100 counters on this card, where X is the result of the roll. So Millium already is a 900. When Millium attacks or blocks, you roll a die, and whatever number comes up, you're going to add that times 100 in counters. So let's say you roll a 6. I mean, the 6 is the dream roll here. You roll a 6, Millium now becomes 1500, and that's each time he attacks or blocks. So puts a little fun into it when it comes to rolling with the die. A little bit of a gamble. If somebody attacks you with a 11 and you say, oh, I'm going to block with Millium and roll a die, see if I can get enough to kill him. I mean, I don't know if you would do that in a game, but just for some fun there. But definitely interesting mechanic. I'm interested to see how that works out. Let's take a look at a Resonator, the Kid Puss in Boots from the old Gorman Cluster. So we're going to see a lot of remakes and reprints here. Puss in Boots was a ruler in the old Gorman Cluster with the 3 Musketeers. This is a Fairy Tale Resonator, and when this card enters your field, force 1, roll the die, put X 100 counters on this card, where X is the result of the roll. So the same thing. So it's pretty good. He's 100 on its own, but when Puss in Boots comes into the field, you roll that die, and then you get to really see what he becomes. I like the mix here in that each Puss in Boots could be a different strength depending on what you roll. It could be a 200 if you only roll 1. Could be a 400. So I like that. Kind of interesting. Makes the game a little more fun and unpredictable. Here is Grimm, the King of Fairy Tales, 800 Resonator. For 1 light, you force 1. Fairy Tale and Human J Resonators you control gain plus X 100 until end of turn, where X is the result of the roll. Play this ability only once per turn. So it's an activate ability. When Grimm is on the field, you pay a light and you roll the die. Fairy Tale and Human J Resonators will gain plus X 100 depending on what you roll. So again, a way just to pump everybody up. It seems like they're really focusing on rolling the die here, which could be fun. I'm not sold on it just yet, but we'll see. I'd have to actually try it out. Here is Light Dress Cinderella, 2-drop 400 Fairy Tale Resonator. When this card deals damage to your opponent, search your deck for a Fairy Tale Resonator, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. Also, if you rest a recovered Resonator you control, this card gains flying until the end of turn. So really good perk right there. If you rest a recovered Resonator, Cinderella then can fly, which will then most likely get the damage to your opponent, which will let you search your deck for a Fairy Tale Resonator. So I like that. I'm glad they threw that wrinkle into it. Here's Tinkerbell the Fairy, a 1-drop 100 Fairy Tale or a Fairy Resonator. She flies, and she gains +2/+2 for each other Fairy Tale Resonator you control. So she could become really dangerous, especially the more Fairy Tales you have out on the board. Then she comes out. Now she's a 3/3, 5/5, 7/7. So it could really build up with her, and for 1-drop makes her really cheap and really interesting to get out there, and with flying. So, all of a sudden a 5/5, 7/7 flyer for 1-drop, you're not laughing anymore, I'm sure. Here is Gorman Gretel, who is a 3-drop Fairy Tale, 1 light and 2 other. 7/7, prevent the first damage that would be dealt to this card each turn. So anytime a spell or an attack would hit her, for the first time each turn, it does not get through. So pretty good. Makes her a force out there, and not to mention she's 7/7 alone. And here's Confectioner Hansel. So Hansel and Gretel are back. A 2-drop Fairy Tale, 1 light and 1 other, 500. When this card enters your field, search your deck for a card named Magic Sweets. Reveal it and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. And if you rest this card, you gain 200 life. So pretty good, especially if Hansel is out there. After your draw phase, you can rest him to gain that 200 life and then recover him. So good way to sneak 200 in there. And when he comes in, you get to search for Magic Sweets. And what do you know? Here it is. Magic Sweets is a quick cast, so it's a spell chant instant. You can do it whenever, and it costs 1 to play. Target J Resonator you control gains +200 and barrier until end of turn. So another new ability here, which is Barrier. Barrier means that cards you control with Barrier cannot be targeted by spells or ability your opponent controls. So when you play the Magic Sweets, you target a J Resonator that you control. They gain +2/+2 and Barrier, but only until the end of turn. So it's kind of a 1-turn protection where they can't get targeted by spells or abilities. But for 1, and it can happen at any time, this is a pretty good card, going to be dangerous. Here's Manifestation of Power, another quick cast chant, so you could cast this at any time. 1 light and 1 to play, and you get a choice. Choose one. Recover target Resonator you control and draw a card, or destroy a target addition. That's pretty good, destroying target additions. There are only a couple of cards that do that now, so here's good way to get it done, and on a quick cast, so an instant basis. Pretty good. Fairy Tale Kingdom Light Palace. This is an addition, and this is it's an addition to the field. It doesn't say it on there, but you put this out, and this gets the global effect to the whole field. 1 light and 1 to play. When this card enters your field, draw a card. So that's good. And at the end of your turn, recover target Fairy Tale or Human J Resonator you control. So as long as this stays on your field, you only get to draw the card once, but as long as this stays on your field, every time your turn ends, you get to recover a Fairy Tale or Human J Resonator. Pretty good. Here is Summoning from the Fairy Tale World. This is a spell chant, so you can only do this on your turn. 2 to play, 2 light. Search your deck for a Fairy Tale Resonator, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. But if your J ruler is Millium on either side, you get to search your deck for up to 2 Fairy Tale Resonators, reveal them, and put them into your hand instead. So, good way to search out a Fairy Tale. If you have Millium, then you get to search for 2. And if you have the starter deck, then you have Millium. So, basically a good way to get 2 Fairy Tales. And finally, a look at the light magic stone for the starter deck. I'm not really a fan of all the magic stones for some reason, but this one is nice. I do like this one. Quick look at the light magic stone. It's just floating around with the boulders and everything floating around with it. So I like it. That one came out nice. So guys, that is it. A look at the light starter deck spoilers. I think it looks pretty good. Interested to see the rest of the cards, but also interested to see the spoilers in the other starter decks. They are definitely going to be tempting to buy in addition to the set, the box set for Curse of the Frozen Casket. So, I mean, I guess everybody get your wallets ready. But let me know what you think. Comment below, like, subscribe, share, and more spoilers as they come along. So, as usual, thanks for a few minutes, guys, and I'll see you later.